Welcome to the Registered Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. This show is about Plymouth County real estate. Our headline for the month was Plymouth County Registry of Deeds revenue surpasses FY25. So let's get right to the numbers. We're going to talk about the recordings for June. I have a great guest in the second segment, Liz White, my new first assistant, no relation to my prior first assistant, Tim White, and then get into some of our well-known Plymouth County and Plymouth colony history. The first image you're going to see is of deeds. Deeds is sales of property. You can see in the bar chart that we are trending fairly well. There were 719 deeds recorded in June, up from the 665 in May, 7% more than last year's 662. Year to date, in terms of sales of property, and it ended with the fiscal year on June 30th, up 5%. You get to see an image of sales for all the properties in Plymouth County. There are 27 communities, alphabetically from Abington to Whitman, and every community had sales, Plymouth and Brockton being the highest. The next image you're going to see is of mortgages. We usually can track how we're doing through deeds and mortgages. There were 1,234 mortgages recorded in June, less than the 1,253 in May. However, 10% more than last June. In year-to-date in mortgages, we're up 12%, which is a good sign. One of the things we've followed since the meltdown in 2008 are foreclosure issues. You might remember that we had a boon of refinances back in 2003, and a lot of those mortgages went sour, and we had to do a lot of foreclosures and help people through those foreclosures. We currently work with NeighborWorks and send them copies of everyone that is in a foreclosure status. Usually at the notice stage, they get a letter from them, and you can try to help yourself modify your loan, but it's very important that you be vigilant with your home ownership. So there were only 8 foreclosure deeds in June, up from the 7 in May, 33% down than last June, and 22% down from last year. From the foreclosure notices perspective, it's a little higher. A lot of notices don't go all the way to foreclosure deeds. A foreclosure deed is when you lose your property, usually for non-payment. Foreclosure notice is the first document we get that shows you're in trouble. Again, if you're in trouble, don't freeze, don't hesitate. Go reach out to a federal housing counselor. There are 26 foreclosure notices in June, less than the 41 in May, 38% less than last June, and 25% down year to date. You're going to see a listing of foreclosure deeds and notices, again by the 27 communities in Plymouth County. You can see there are a lot of zeros there. We thought after the COVID moratorium they would bounce back, but they really have not. However, that doesn't mean you can take it lightly if you're in trouble. Don't freeze, don't hesitate. If you're finding yourself in difficulty paying your mortgage, you don't want to lose your home, reach out to a group like NeighborWorks and see if they can help you. We talk in the second segment about it, but we do have a fraud alert. A lot of people are concerned about real estate fraud. I can tell you there's not a lot of it. It's usually within family members, but there is a way to protect yourself. If you go on site to our website and look under resources, you can sign up under fraud alert. If you put your name and emails in there, anything that gets recorded in your name, you will get an email and you can act. And maybe it's something that should have been recorded, like an agreement you reached with something in your property, like a payoff of a mortgage. But if it's not, you get a heads up and can try to deal with that right away. For anyone owning property, you always have to be aware of scams. Because for most people, your real estate is your most valuable asset, there'll always be people trying to scam you into something relative to your property. So you really have to be vigilant. And I have a great guest coming in the next segment of the show, Elizabeth White, my new first assistant, Register of Deeds. So we'll see you in the next segment. Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we've always done something educational in nature. Surveyors, appraisers, commercial real estate brokers, and a lot of realtors. But I wanted to introduce you to my new first assistant, Elizabeth White. Welcome.
Thank you, John.
And I know you've done more than one cable show.
Yes, this is my second, yes. And I started in cable when I first got out of college, so,
yeah, so
full circle.
So that's a good story.
Yes, it is.
Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your background?
So I graduated from Boston College in 1985, and New England Sports Network was just coming on air, and I had interned there, so I went to work for the network and did a lot of marketing initially, and then I got into the studio and decided I want to go back to law school. So I went to the boss and said, I would love to sit in the broadcast booth for all of the Red Sox games and all of the Bruins games and be a consistent person. So it worked out well. They gave me the job, and for the 3 years I was in law school, I was able to sit in the broadcast booth down at Fenway with Ned Martin and Jerry Remy, and then down at the Old Boston Garden, Derek Sanderson, Fred Cusick, and Dave Shea. So it was a really nice mix while I was in law school.
Amazing experience.
It really was, yeah. It was terrific, so.
Great.
Yeah.
And then you started the practice of law?
I did. So I initially started to work for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and was an attorney for the Department of Social Services, and then I went out on my own, and I had been, prior to coming to you, a private practice attorney on the South Shore for 27 years. And so, yes, I did some conveyancing work and did a lot of guardianship work, and now I'm your first assistant.
And some people may remember Tim White, no relation, who was on this show multiple times.
Yeah.
And he decided to retire and golf and
yes, good
grandkids.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Yeah. We missed him, but yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's enjoying himself.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about where the registry is right now. I know we had a technical meeting this morning of our changeovers to different hardware and software programs. The recording system is pretty set for now, though there may be changes in the future. What have you found coming from the outside into the inside?
So what's fascinated me is the fact that we do I would say 80% of our work online. We have very few people that come in to see us in person, and we have a few title examiners that come in, but not many.
Yeah.
People are able to record, they're able to do research, they're able to find plans. They really can do so much online. So our recorders, both in the land court and the recording side, are looking at documents on a computer screen a lot during the day, making decisions about whether they meet the index standards so that we can actually record them. But we do 80% of the work we do through the computer.
Yeah, the world has changed post-COVID.
Absolutely.
We were shut down to people coming in the building, though the registry never shut down completely. And I think people just got used to working from home to do titles. All of our information, all the way back to 1685, and many of our plans and other things that they need are online. If they're not online yet, they will be. People can come in and get what they need, but for the most part, 80% of our recorded land closings are over the internet, and 60% of our registered land recordings are over the internet.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And I do think we get people that are into history that are looking for documents that come in,
Right.
or the general public as compared to the real estate bar. So we do have an awful lot of people that come in, and we have a beautiful, beautiful building. I'm going to give a little shout out to the building, but
Sure.
We have a lot of things displayed on the walls, and it's a nice building with glass and light, and so I think it's worth the trip. I say to people, if you want to come down, you and I go out on the road every now
Sure.
and then, and when we see people at senior centers, we invite them down, and it's worth the trip.
The biggest change is the amount of title examiners in our building. When I got elected in 2000, we were in an older building on Russell Street, built in 1904, built when the 1820 courthouse got too tight, and beautiful building in its day, but it didn't satisfy the needs of the registry in the probate court, which was on the top floor, and handicapped, inaccessible, couldn't handle the cabling, so we ended up moving over to Oberry Street. The courthouse followed us over there.
Yeah.
And that's where we've been, and it's been a great fit. Free parking. It was very difficult parking downtown, although I loved being downtown. And now we're side by side, again, with the probate court. They can walk across the street, and it's been a huge change, not so much from that immediate changeover, but from when COVID hit and people weren't able to interact.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very quiet in the building.
Yeah.
But there are a few people that come in.
Yeah, but we don't really
And,
know what's going to happen in the future.
No, definitely not. I mean, we just talked this morning even about, microfilm compared
Right.
to cloud-based
Right.
things, and
Right.
lots of different things coming down the pike, I think.
Right, right.
So,
I know you've spent a lot of time getting to know our department heads and their functions.
yes.
You want to talk a little bit about that part of it?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think we have wonderful staff, and they've been there a long time. So a lot of institutional knowledge in the building. And, they're, first and foremost, they're there to serve the public, and they are pleasant and hardworking. They really know what they're doing. The land court, I always go and bend down
sure.
to them because they're so particular.
Very complicated.
Very
yeah.
complicated. And recording, I mean, they're busy. They're really busy. The beginning of the month, sometimes the middle of the month, and people really, they're hardworking and they know what they're doing. Things go over to index, and we double check things. Our IT department is, again, keeping us online as glitches every so often. And our customer service, we get a lot of requests in that department. People call in or they email requests, and they're busy. They're very busy,
So you've been managing the e-submitter
Yes.
request, and I think you just hit a certain number
Yes. So we're up to 2,229 e-files. Yes.
that are authorized.
Authorized e-filers. Yes.
That's
That's a huge
from
amount.
2007
Yeah.
when we started with just Simplifile,
Yeah.
and we had to go beg people to do it.
Yeah.
Again, COVID drove that
Yes.
pretty good.
Yes, and it's people from all over the country. I think I did one this morning. Somebody was submitting from California. They were doing assignments of some sort. And
Okay.
so we, not only local attorneys, but mortgage discharge, different banks. And so we have people from all over the country on that list.
And the other thing that I mentioned in my first segment is there are a lot of people that are scared of fraud these days.
Yes,
And we run into a lot of that when we go and visit the senior centers.
yes,
They see things on the news, companies even selling their wares, and they get very nervous about their assets. And a fraud alert, which you've been involved with, has been a great opportunity to give them some sense of security.
yeah. I think that for a lot of people, their wealth is tied into the value of their home, and they own their home, most of them outright, as they've paid off their mortgages. And I think they are worried. I think that some of the ads on TV put a little fear in folks. So I think our fraud alert system is a simple thing. They get online, they put in their name, and they will get notified if somebody records anything against their property. And I think to be able to say to somebody positively, you can do something that will help, is a really important thing.
Yeah, and we do talk about fraud in our presentations. It is not a usual event. Very rarely have we had fraud events that have led to loss of property and having to get criminal involvement in that.
Absolutely. I don't think it's common. I think that in terms of the process that would have to take place, that you would need, most of our documents are notarized. You would need a notary to participate in that fraud. And that's a system that is run through the Secretary of State's office. So I do believe that it's very, very seldom that it happens. But I think people are still, the heightened awareness of fraud generally, and it, again, it affects our business of property, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know one of the things you've seen and been involved with are people that are trying to put things on record that are not authorized.
Correct, right.
And for a variety of reasons, sometimes when they're struggling with foreclosures and the potential loss of their home, and other people that just don't understand how our system works and what our job is. And I always tell people it's just as important for what we do record and protect people's title for what we reject to protect people's title.
Absolutely.
Want to talk about a few of those instances?
Certainly, yeah. So we do have people that come in, and there are certain guidelines, they're called index standards, that we actually require people to abide by. And so people might want to come in, they may have a dispute with a contractor and they're going to file, they think they can file a lien of some sort, the contractor can. But there's specific guidelines that people have to go through in order to actually place a lien on your property, which is important for everybody to understand. Nobody can just walk in and place something on. And we require court orders for most things that go on record. And in terms of people that are in foreclosure, it's hard. I do think they are at a point where they are fearful they will lose their home. But again, we can't record things that are not according to the index standards.
Yeah, authorized by the
or
index.
authorized, correct. Yeah.
So we'll see. It's been a slower time than in the past, although we just completed our fiscal year and had increases in both deeds and mortgages. We delivered a lot of money to the Commonwealth, a lot of money for the community preservation to the Commonwealth, and a lot of money to the county, about $500,000 over estimates for the fiscal year. Our fiscal year ended June 30th.
Yeah.
Similar to cities and towns, and
Right.
I think that is all positive.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, again, you know, the price of property with deed excise is also something that's been interesting
Yes.
to watch as well. So
Yeah.
the price of property produces a little more money in the state coffers and our coffers. But, yeah, I think we've been busy enough. I mean, I don't think the interest rates are still high, so we're not seeing a lot of refinancing. But I still think that we're constant and we're stable.
And we've had many conversations about the difficulty for younger families or individuals to purchase a home because of the average sale price being so high, interest rates still being pretty high, and lack of inventory. That has been a very frustrating thing for me, and I know you've dealt with a lot of people in that area too.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there's lots of different things going against young people trying to buy property right now, and hopefully at some point the interest rates will come down, and maybe there'll be some initiatives for first-time home buyers that help out.
Right.
And it's surprising, as you and I know, the median price, the sale price, I think last month was $750,000.
$700,000,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's a big number.
And that includes towns where there were reasonable
Yes.
Hansons and the Rocklands.
Yes, yeah.
And unlike some of our wealthier towns, that a lot of $2 million sales.
Right.
So, we'll see what the future brings. I am hopeful the dam gets broken and the Federal Reserve drops the rates again. That would be one piece of it.
Absolutely.
Right now, a lot of people are staying in place because they're afraid to make a move. And we'll have to watch that as it goes.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're going to move somewhere else. So I think that's also part of that puzzle, right?
Yeah. But we'll follow it. We'll stay in touch. And I know you've done a great job in the beginning days.
Thank you, John.
You've traveled with me to many Council on Aging so far.
Yes, yeah.
And we've been able to pull up their records and tell them if they've undischarged mortgages, the things that everyone should do. Just like your estate plan, every 5 years you ought to look and see
Yep.
what's going on with your real estate and be vigilant. It's your most valuable asset for most people, and I know you've been helpful to people in that regard.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to go to the community.
Great.
It's
So
great.
thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Welcome back to the Register Report. Again, my name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds for Plymouth County. I want to thank Liz White for the great job she's been doing at the registry and for her great description of her work with us at the registry. It's a very important role, and she's been doing good based upon her past experience, and will do so going forward. In this segment of the show, we get a little lighter in nature, talk about some of our holidays and some of our related Plymouth County records and Plymouth Colony records. So, Independence Day was the 4th, National Fried Chicken Day was the 14th, National Mac and Cheese Day, National Hot Dog Day. Anybody that watched the hot dog eating contest at Coney Island would know how important hot dogs are in our life. And the National Lasagna Day on the 27th. But I'm going to get into a couple Plymouth County records. One we did of John Hancock. Certainly, John Hancock is a well-known name. He was a patriot and a statesman and a big part of the American Revolution. His name, John Hancock, is also known because of his large signature on the Declaration of Independence. This document was for a wharf that he owned in Plymouth. John Hancock was a very active business person before his involvement in helping America separate from British nation. Next one is, we're in the midst of a very great baseball season. Matter of fact, tonight, the taping of the show is the Home Run Derby. We'll soon be getting to the All-Star game, and one of our great Red Sox players, who at the time of this show have won 10 in a row, we hope that continues. But Ted Williams owned a baseball camp in the town of Lakeville. He is called the greatest hitter of all time, the last person to bat over 400. He's a member of Cooperstown and a member of the Sports Illustrated All-Star team, won the Triple Crown twice. That means home runs, batting average, and RBIs, right? Runs batted in. But he also had a different life. He was a Marine fighter pilot in World War II, in the Korean War. With his partner, Al Cassidy, he set up a baseball camp in Lakeville. One of his great pastimes was fishing. And he is known for his sportsman life, and he fished a lot of the towns, particularly around Lakeville, where he set up his baseball camp. It is now owned by the town of Lakeville, and the site of the Lakeville Senior Center, and is located next to Loon Pound, where I mentioned Ted Williams would fish many times, probably during his training camps. And last but not least, we're in the summer. We always talk about some of our great lighthouses. Boston Light is over 300 years old. It is shown across Boston Harbor and beyond. It is on Little Brewster Island in the town of Hull. It was the 300th anniversary of Boston Light was celebrated in the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service. The first coastal light in North America destroyed during the Revolutionary War and rebuilt. The lighthouse stands 89 feet tall. It's been operated by the United States Coast Guard and is on the National Register of Historic Places. And last but not least, one of our Plymouth colony records. Ever since the Plymouth 400, we've included one of our Plymouth colony records. And this one relates to a property in Duxbury, known as Duxbury back then, where an individual owned a home and property, and they had on their property a stream and a pond for the watering of their cattle. Now, to be friendly with their neighbors, he gave his neighbor an easement so that their cattle could travel over Experience Mitchell's land and graze and use that pond and stream to water their cattle. It was a very neighborly thing to do. I'm not sure we see those neighborly activities as much as then, but it was a great sign of the times that people had to work together to accomplish things. I want to thank Ben and the folks here at the local scene for another show here. Lorna Green Baker and Christine Riches put this show together. It's my 178th show. We've been doing this for a number of years, trying to share with people what for most people is the most valuable asset in a little bit of the history of our great communities. Thank you. We'll see you in August.